In today's restorative class, we're going to be looking at a lot of hip mobility. All right, so for today's class, I am using a prop. I am using a squishy ball. You can do this work using a towel for anything that requires sliding of the feet, or just putting a pillow between the knees when we do actively put the ball between the legs. However, it is worth getting a little squishy ball. You don't need a fancy Pilates one. One that I use quite often, I bought from the dollar store for $3. And as it is summer at the moment, it's a good time to hit up the dollar store because they'll have a lot of things like that there at this time. So you don't have to break the bank on it, but it's a good little prop to have. And it's something that I really like to use in a lot of restorative and rehabilitative Pilates because it gives us some feedback for the body when we press into it, and it allows the body to kind of move without any real constraint or restriction. So you'll see that in today's class. So we're going to start by coming down onto our backs and taking a moment. I'm just going to put the ball aside for right now. We're going to take a moment to find our neutral pelvis. So you can always place your hands into that triangle and placing the hands on that lower abdominals, and the fingers towards the pubic bone, the thumbs under the belly button, and the elbows just resting comfortably on the floor. Just taking an easy breath in. And on the exhale, pulling up through that pelvic floor, pulling those abdominals in, and you may feel a little tightness under the belly, and then letting it release. And pulling in and up through those low abdominals. So you don't want to feel like you're pushing the abs out into the hands, but you do want to feel like the muscles kind of slide together underneath the palms of the hands. So you almost feel like an escalator stair sliding into another escalator stair. That's kind of the feeling that you're going to get underneath those hands when we pull those abdominals in and around the center. Let's do 2 more breaths like this, just inhaling and exhaling. Checking in with the body. Are you already a little tight somewhere? Is the upper back already stabilizing and working a little harder than it needs to? And out. From here, we're going to grab our squishy ball. You can also do this with a pillow. And I'm just bringing my arms up above my head. Now, I don't want it right above my head. I actually want to hold the ball so it's in line with my rib cage. And then from here, all I'm going to do is start to press my palms into the ball and then letting that go. And as I do that, I'm going to exhale and inhale. And exhale. And inhale. Letting the ball release. Exhale, pressing into the ball. Inhaling. Exhale. Inhale. Let's do a couple more like that. And again. Last one. So feeling the inside of the arm, the pec, maybe around the rib cage, all engaging a little bit as you press into those hands. Letting the arms still feel pretty heavy. I'm going to find a little bit of tension into that ball. Not pressing for dear life, but a little bit of tension. And I'm going to allow the arms to fall back behind me, letting the ribs stretch. I'm not pushing the rib cage up to the ceiling, but I do want to feel like I'm stretching through all of the tissue along the rib cage and underneath that armpit. And then coming back up. And again, coming back. Easy inhaling and exhaling here. We're gonna do a few more like this, just gently holding into that ball, just creating this kind of nice circle loop of energy as we do the work. And it's okay if you need to take your breath before you finish the movement. I don't want you to think that, oh, I have to inhale and I can only inhale on this movement, but now I'm holding my breath because I'm done my inhale. Just exhale. Just breathe through it. It's okay. It's more important that you're breathing rather than if you're holding your breath. When we hold our breath, our diaphragm freezes. It doesn't move. And because there's a direct correlation between pelvic floor breath or pelvic floor engagement and diaphragmatic breath, we want to make sure that we keep that diaphragm moving and pumping in a very easy and natural way. And you can learn more about that if you haven't already checked out the foundations video on the pelvic floor and pelvic floor breath, diaphragmatic breath. You can go and check that out for a lot more information. We're going to do 2 more like this. Just nice and easy. Making sure that head feels nice and easy. And I forgot to say this at the beginning of the class, but if you feel that your head is kind of tipped too far back, go and grab a little pillow or a little towel to put under your head just to give you a little bit of lift, so that way the chin is resting a little bit more easily in neutral and not tipped quite so much up toward the ceiling. We're not done with our ball yet. Again, we're going to start to gently roll that ball between the hands. So the hand closest to the camera, I'm going to gently reach those fingers up toward the ceiling, allowing the ball to roll between the palms of my hands. You'll feel the shoulder blade kind of wrap around that rib cage. And then let that shoulder blade get heavy. Let gravity really do its thing as you bring the arm back down. And we'll do the other side. So the fingertips are gently reaching up toward the ceiling. Just nice and easy. And then coming back down. And I don't want you to think of bringing the shoulders to the ears. We want to keep the shoulders from the ears. And instead, imagine that you're working on that horizontal plane. So that shoulder blade is really kind of gliding to underneath the armpit rather than gliding up to the ears or gliding down the back. Think of it as kind of wrapping itself around into your armpit. One more time here. Still keeping a nice, easy pelvis. We're going to do both arms together now. I'm actually going to bring my arms down for just a moment and just give my head a little shake. I just feel like I'm starting to go up into my neck a little bit. So I'm just going to let my head kind of say no, no, no. My 2-year-old loves to say that word, no, 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 no. And then bringing the head back to neutral and letting the eyes just tip back and letting the eyes and the chin tip forward. So the eyes lead the movement. As my eyes begin to look back behind me, my chin will tip up. And as I let my eyes lower, my chin will tip down. This is not a big movement. But imagine that you're gently nodding yes. My 2-year-old does also love to say the word yeah, 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 yeah. He likes no more. But, you know, whatever, we're working on it. And little nods. Okay, so we're going to go back to having both arms up. And then from here, again, just gently pressing into the ball. Both arms now are going to reach the ceiling. Feel those shoulder blades wrapping around the rib cage, moving themselves gently towards your armpit, and then just relaxing it all back down. And again, wrapping the shoulder blades around and back down. And let's do that a couple more times. Try to stay out of the neck as much as possible. So this is a very small movement, as you can see. One more time, reaching those fingers up toward the ceiling and then coming back down. I'm going to take the ball now and place it underneath my foot closest to the camera. So This is an exercise, if you don't have a ball, you can kind of fold your mat up and place a dish towel down, and you can absolutely do this using the dish towel. And I believe I have another video for Pilates for back pain that's in this restorative section that illustrates that exact movement. I'm going to be using the ball, and we're going to go into a single leg drop. So maintaining a neutral spine and an easiness in the pelvis, I'm going to start to let the leg that's on the ball fall away from my pubic bone, opening up the leg. But here's the thing, my supporting leg needs to stay exactly where it is. It cannot also start to open to the side. This is where my oblique kicks in a little bit, and then I pull my inner thigh back up. So as I allow the inner thigh to open, I'm going to think of engaging through my inner thigh oblique on my opposite side to keep my hip and rib down, and then coming back up. Don't worry about your range of movement. It's not about opening the leg super duper far here. It's about the quality of the movement, not the quantity of the movement. So work within the range that feels right for you, and in a range that you can properly and safely support. Let's do one more time like that, and we're going to build on it. So my tummy muscles are gently pulling in, my pelvic floor is gently engaging. Exhale, pulling it all in. So from here, I'm now going to bring my toes onto the ball. If you're doing the towel, put your heel on the towel, okay? And we're just going to roll the leg out, and then bending that knee back up toward the ceiling, pulling the leg in, pulling up through those deep tummy muscles, that pelvic floor. Inhaling easily, but exhale if you need to. Exhale as you come up, but inhale if you need to. Just gently rolling the leg out. So what's nice about this is the ball is helping to facilitate my hip movement here. Because of its role, I don't have to work that hard to make this movement happen through my hip joint. And my goal here really is to maintain my easy, tension-free position through my pelvis and my spine. So I'm disassociating my thigh bone from the pelvis. My goal is to be able to move that leg without feeling like I need to force my back into the mat or arch my back away from the mat in order to make it happen. We're going to do one more time like this, and then we're going to put those two exercises together. Okay, so to put together, we call it a hip release. I'm going to start to let that knee open in that single knee drop. Then, keeping a little bit of a turnout in my leg, I'm going to extend my leg out. So my leg is turned out here. Rotate the leg to parallel. So I'm really just kind of turning my leg so now my knee is back up toward the ceiling. And then drawing my leg up to the ceiling, I'm going to pull the leg back in on that ball. Opening the leg up, sliding it out. Turn the leg to parallel and come back in. So if you're doing this with the towel, it's all the same thing. You're just going to let the leg come out. Now your heel will be on the towel, so you'll reach your heel out with the turnout. You'll rotate through the leg, and then using your heel to help draw that towel back in, you'll bring that leg back in. We've got one more time in this direction. Easy breaths. To parallel and pull it back in. We're going to reverse it now. So, letting the leg stay in parallel, I'm going to reach the leg out, rotate the leg. So now from the top of my hip joint, it's like I'm turning a key in a lock. My pelvis stays quiet, but my leg turns out. I'm going to start to bend the knee, and as I pull the leg in, I want to have the leg on the angle coming back. So that way I can engage the inner thigh to bring the leg back to parallel. A little harder this way. If you're on the towel, reach out through your heel, slide that heel along the towel, turn the leg out, slide that heel along the towel as you pull it back in towards your bum, and then pull that inner thigh back. We're going to do 3 more times in this direction. And 2 more, sending the leg out, rotating, bending it back in, and up. 1 more time here. Easy breathing through this. And in. We have to switch the ball or the towel to the other side. Take a moment to reconnect into your neutral spine here. Are you getting a little grippy anywhere? Did you lose your breath support at any point? Just checking in with yourself. And then we go to our single knee drops. It feels like so long ago that we did them, but here we go. Opening just the one leg out to the side, staying nice and supported through our supporting leg, and then coming back on in, drawing that inner thigh down into that pubic bone. So what I like to think here is that it's my inner thigh sliding away from the pubic bone. And if I think of that movement, rather than trying to just drop my knee, I actually get more range of movement. So the inner thigh is going to start to lengthen away from the pubic bone like an elastic band stretching. And exhale, slide that inner thigh back in toward the pubic bone, really engaging through that inner thigh. Let's do a few more like this. I'm just resting my hands by my side, turning my palms up to the ceiling because it's just kind of nice to lie like that. But it makes my abdominals work harder because I can't push down into the mat with my hands quite so readily. So it means that I've got to use my core a little bit more. I can't use my back muscles by pressing down through those hands. 1 more time. And then we're going to do our out and in. So sliding the leg down along the ball or with that towel, and then pulling that leg back in and out. And in. And out. Two more like this, and then we're going to put it together. Just sliding the leg out with ease. And back in. Sliding the leg out. And back in. All right, let's put it together. We're going to start by letting the leg fall to the side, drawing those abdominals in. With the turnout, I'm going to roll the ball under the foot or slide it under the towel. Rotate the leg to parallel. Then bending the knee up to the ceiling, pulling those abdominals in. And 4 more. Opening the leg up. Do a range that you can control safely. And into parallel. Pull it back up. Opening the leg. Rotating it. Back to parallel. And up. 2 more here. Just nice and easy. Checking in with yourself. Are you starting to get a little tense in the shoulders? Are those arm muscles beginning to twitch and work a little harder? Try to find that core support. Back to parallel and up. Now we're going to reverse it 5 times here. We're extending the leg out. Rotate it. Turn that key in the lock. Bend that knee. Find that turnout, but maintain the turnout in such a way that you can control through the abdominals and the obliques. Bring it back to parallel. Send that leg out. Rotate. Pull it in. Close the leg. and send it out. Rotate, pull it in, and out. 2 more here. Turn it out. And in. Last one here. Pull it in and close. All right, we're going to take that ball. We have been on our backs for quite a while, so we're going to move on to our sides now. You can absolutely grab a pillow for your head if you would like a little bit of extra support. I'm just going to rest my head on my hand. Again, we're going to go back to a little bit of arm work. Just making sure that the hips are square. I just have my legs just nice and easily at 45-degree angles here. Taking my palm, placing it onto the ball and just keeping that elbow by my side for a moment. I'm going to roll the ball out and then roll the ball back in, opening up through that collarbone. So as I reach forward, my collarbone is going to feel like it's kind of wrapping or rounding. And then as I bend my elbow back in toward my waist, I can feel the collarbone widening across the front of the chest. You can also think of the shoulder blade kind of rolling toward the armpit. And then as I bend the elbow, that shoulder blade is going to glide itself back down to the spine. So we're essentially doing the scapula glides that we did on our back. But now we've got a little bit more support. Now you can do this without the ball, with the towel. But I do find that having the ball, it's kind of nice because it lifts the arm up. The towel on the floor will work, but you will be in a much deeper flexion of the arm, and it's kind of nice to work more closely to the shoulder joint here. We're just going to do a couple more. So I'm not rotating through I'm not rolling through my rib cage. So as I extend out, I'm not falling forward. I'm really trying to resist the rotation and just allow the arm to move. Just one more time like this. Okay, we're going to take that ball and place it between the knees. We are going to do a little rotation here. I'm going to take my hand and just kind of cradle my head, reaching my arm out in front of me just as I did. We're going to go into a spinal rotation. If this feels comfortable for you, please do it and enjoy. If you have a disc herniation, I want you to move very cautiously through it, okay? Check yourself. If it does not feel good, do not do this exercise. We will do something else in a moment. But for those of you who feel like they're looking for a big rotation, it's quite nice. We're going to bring the arm up like a big rainbow, letting the head follow that hand, opening the chest up toward the ceiling, and I'm letting my top leg glide over the bottom leg. The ball is going to help with that movement, and I get a big stretch. And then I'm going to bring the arm up, letting myself just gently roll back into our starting position. Just 2 more like this. So the arm starts the movement, it comes up. Let the head begin to follow. Let the head, the collarbone, the rib cage, that's the big area of rotation we're looking for. And then just let that top leg glide back. Just nice and easy, let it slide into the hip joint. And then coming back up. One more time. I love the spinal rotation. It's just so nice to let everything open. We don't rotate enough. Or if we do it, we get this kind of sense of rotating downward, spiraling down. Really, we want to feel like we're lifting up. All right, from here, I promised some hip mobility work. So we are going to take a look at that now. I am going to take the ball. You can use a pillow for this if you don't have a ball. And placing it toward the end of my mat, I'm going to bring my leg onto it and then lie myself back down. So my top leg is on that ball. My hips are square. And we talked about that internal and external rotation when we were on our backs. And we're gonna look at that now for our hip mobility. So having the ball or the pillow there is nice because it brings my leg in line with my hip joint. So I can rotate the leg. Think of that key turning in the lock. I want to imagine that the muscles are wrapping around the thigh bone and my thigh bone is rotating, but my hips are staying square. So I don't want to roll back as I turn the leg out. I'm really trying to activate those deep lateral rotators, letting the leg relax. Just spiraling, turn that key. Turn the key the opposite direction. Turn the key and turn it the opposite direction. Just nice and easy here. The tummy is gently active. Nice and easy. 2 more. And 1. Now you can absolutely stay there and bring my leg back to parallel, and then I'm going to turn it out just slightly. You can absolutely stay there. If you'd like to give yourself a little challenge, keeping that little turnout, start to take your leg off of the ball or the pillow and just lift it to about hip height or just a little bit higher, and then come back down to the pillow and the ball. Lift the leg up just a little bit, keeping the tummy pulled in and down. So now we're trying to get some activation into the side of our glute, but we're also activating our oblique. Both muscle groups really important to help stabilize the pelvis. Now, if this doesn't feel good lifting and lowering the leg, then go back to just gently rotating the leg in and out on the ball or the pillow. Do what feels best for where you are in your restorative journey, your recovery. 2 more. One more time. Exhale. Inhale. Now, all I want you to do is you're going to start to press down into the ball or the pillow and then let it release. So we're activating inner thigh. Just start to press down through that foot and then release. So again, not a huge movement. You might not see this big crazy movement happen in my leg, but I am activating that inner thigh in a very nice and non-aggressive way. Two more here. And 1. Excellent. Okay. We are going to come up and go to the other side. I'm going to fix my hair as we turn to the other side. And we're going to begin with that nice little arm extension. So just stacking the hips, the tummy is nice and active. I'm going to press gently into the ball and I'm going to roll out and then slide that shoulder blade back toward the spine as I roll back in. Now, one of the things I want you to make sure you're doing here is that the ball is reaching out in line with your chest. It's very easy to send it a little too high. I want it to be in line with your shoulder joint, which is lower than most people think it is, and up. We always sort of end up around the throat, but you do want to be a little bit lower than that. A few more like this. Easy breath. Letting that shoulder blade just glide. One more time. One more time. Taking the ball, placing it between the knees, letting the feet relax together. Cradle the head. If you're using just your arm or you have your pillow there, we're going to reach the arm out. Bringing the arm up, turning the head, letting the head look at the arm, open the chest, and let that leg glide over the ball. Let it sink into the hip joint, and then come back. So again, if this doesn't feel good, if you have a disc herniation, try to keep that rotation to just the head, the collarbone, the rib cage. You may stop about here. If it feels comfortable and doesn't feel like it's aggravating anything, then you can go into the deeper stretch, letting the thigh bones sink into the hip joint, and then coming back. But do what feels right for you. We're doing this one more time. Nice big stretch. And if you bring that hand on a bit more of a diagonal, ooh, you get a really nice stretch through that pec and armpit, and then coming back up. All right. Taking the ball, placing it toward the end of the mat where the foot can rest on top of it. Making sure that the hips are square and in line with each other. Tummy is active. And here's our lock and key. So thinking of those muscles wrapping around the thigh bone, turning the leg out, and then letting it rotate back. So I'm turning the key in the lock. The lock is my pelvis. The key is the thigh bone. The key turns. The lock stays nice and supported, not rigid. I don't want you to get into a place where you feel like you have to hold your breath or there's no movement at all or anything like that. One of the very first things that we learned in Pilates training and in all movement in general is rigidity does not equal stability. I'm going to say that again. Rigidity does not equal stability. So think of a ballet dancer. They are so stable on point in their jumps and their pirouettes. They are so stable, but they are fluid in their movement. And so there's a fluidity in stability, and that's what we're looking for in Pilates. We move dynamically through exercises, and we want to make sure that there is a stability through that dynamic movement and that fluidity. Last one here. Keeping that little turnout, we're going to do that lift. Now remember, if the lifts don't feel good for you, then you can absolutely just continue to do that internal and external rotation. Let's exhale as we bring that leg up. Feel that pelvic floor, feel those low abdominals engage. And again, we're not sending the leg super high, just kind of a little bit higher than the hip joint, just so that you can get that little bit of extra work through the side of the bum. And hopefully you're feeling that in the side of the bum and then a little bit in the oblique here as we work. You do want to make sure that the hips are staying supported and not sinking as you lift the leg. I want you to avoid that sink. That's cheating you out of your glute, and that's overworking your back muscles. So we're trying to keep the torso stable but quiet. Use the breath as your fluid movement for the core. Last one here. And then you're just going to start to press down into the ball and release. Press down into the ball and release. So again, just nice and easy. Exhale, inhale, relax. Exhale, inhale, relax. Just going to do a few more like this. One more time. Last one. And in. Okay, coming up. All right. So our last bit of hip mobility that we're going to be doing here, You can do with a towel in lieu of the ball, but the ball is rather nice for this. If you are doing it with a towel, you'll just kind of flip your mat so you're on whatever floor you're working with, and you'll tuck the toes under, and you'll slide out and in using that towel. With the ball, you're going to place it underneath the foot, and we are coming onto our hands and knees here. Now, I understand that like my wrists are not great and I can already feel like it's too much work. So I'm going to come into a fist position, which is going to give me a stronger line all the way down from the shoulder, and then I'm not bending here. But you can absolutely do this on your forearms if it's too much to be up on your shoulders, or sorry, up on your hands or your fists, okay? The first thing we're going to do is those scapula glides. So I'm actually just going to place the ball between my feet, letting the shoulder blades slide together like little elevator doors closing, and then I'm going to push that floor away and let those elevator doors widen apart. And my gaze is at the edge of my mat, so I'm not dropping my head, pushing those elevator doors apart. Sliding the shoulder blades together. You can do this on your fists, on your hands, or your forearms. This movement is universal. And we're going to do that a couple more times. Slide those elevator doors, push them apart. One more time. Don't let them climb to your ears. Those shoulders, keep them down. And then we're going to find a happy medium. So a nice happy medium between those two extremes. The tummy is nice and active. And I'm going to place the top of my foot on the ball, lifting the knee up so it's in line now. Taking a breath in. And on my exhale, I'm going to give a little bit of tummy support, a little bit of glute support, and I'm going to roll my leg out. So it's nice as the ball is helping me with the movement. And then bending the leg in, letting the ball really help as I open my bum cheek wide. So you can see that my back is remaining flat here. As I pull the leg in, I want you to watch out that you're not rounding your back. Really trying to find that long line through the spine, letting the bum open wide as you hip hinge and bring that leg in. We're just going to do a couple more because there's a lot of work to stay up on that upper body. One more time here. Let the ball do the work. Let the towel help you come in and down. Take a moment. Give the wrists a shake. Do whatever you need to do. Shoulders a little roll. And we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to place the ball underneath the top of my foot. I want to find my happy medium between my elevator doors closed and my elevator doors open. So finding that happy medium. Keeping my gaze at the top of my mat so I don't drop it, and pulling the tummy muscles in. There's a lot happening, but it's okay, we're doing it. We're going to lift the knee up so it's in line with my ball and my foot, and then giving the glute a little squeeze, pulling the tummy in. Inhale it back. Exhale. As you bend that knee in, let the ball do a lot of that work to help bring the leg in. And again, so that way, like, you really don't have to work too hard. We're going to keep the hips nice and square to the floor, so watch that you don't start to rotate the hip. And you want to stay really tall on your supporting leg column so you're not sinking into the bum. We ask a lot in Pilates. We do ask you to check in with your body quite often. But it's because we know that the right biomechanics is going to give you the greater amount of results that you're looking for. Poor biomechanics is not going to help you as much. One more time. And in. And I'm just going to sit on my ball as I give my arms, just let my arms go up and down and up. But but you can just sit however you feel comfortable. Just letting my arms move with ease. I'm going to do this one more time. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for inviting me into your home. I hope you enjoyed today's restorative hip mobility class, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.